What's going on this Thursday?
Nothing much. Thank you, Scott. Hi, Jamie. How are you, buddy?
Hey Andy, hello everyone. Yeah, so definitely what's this red color we got all over the
Yeah,
screens today? I
yeah,
don't
that
know.
was a big, ugly day. It's probably a lot of people licking their wounds out there. But uh, we'll talk a little more about how to navigate a market like we have right now, because it's very tricky. And if you haven't, yeah, I know the majority of you have only been trading, this crazy bull market that we've seen the last 12 years. Well, we're not getting that same kind of action, and I'll talk more about that in the market recap. But first, let me dive into the disclaimer and go over it real quick. We are a content publisher here at Trade Ideas. We're going to be talking about some stocks today, looking at some setups possibly, but nothing that we say or show you should be construed as investment advice. That's not what we're trying to do. If you are looking for that type of advice, seek out a registered advisor or a stockbroker. All right, this is going to be the agenda for today, the market recap. And I got it there, bull trap and bear trap, because I'm going to show you an example of both conditions here just over the last few weeks. And it makes it for really difficult trading for everybody, bulls and bears. Today was just awful if you're bullish. I'll ask Jamie if he wants to go over the Holly recap. There's not much to talk about there, but he may take the helm for a little bit and discuss some of the Holly trades for the day, or Holly ideas. And then the trader's eye, we're going to talk more about that. We're going to talk about how to trade it in current conditions. And this will also give you a good idea of, if you are, typically a long side trader, which majority of traders are, you have to adapt sometimes to things that were working, several months ago, where you can maybe get into a stock and ride it for a couple of weeks or so. You're just not seeing that right now. And so what you have to do, I'm not going to go over the whole thing while I got this up, but anyway, we're going to talk more about it and what to look for, what to do if you're wrong, and how quick to do it, and what to look for on the upside if you're right. And then I'm going to talk about, for those who may be active traders and day trading, scalping, and things like this, there's a lot of ugly action out there. A lot of stuff is getting sold off really hard. Okay, so if you're finding a hard time catching these momentum trades to the upside, and yeah, they're few and far between. They're nothing like you may experience, the latter end of last year, but or any time going up to that moment. But now you're seeing these momentum trades. They just won't last as long as they used to. You just don't have that same ump behind them. But you can find a lot of stocks getting hit really hard. So if you are a day trader, I'm going to share with you an extreme carnage. And Robert, I did see your question. I will show you once we get into my desktop a good high of day momentum scanner. All right. Before we move on, let's talk a little bit about the 5-star support, education, and training here. We do pride ourselves on being a community of traders. We are a community of traders here at Trade Ideas. The CEO, the CFO, and many of the traders that are here have years and years of experience trading. So we not only know the product very well, we also know trading very well, and I think that's a big advantage for you guys if you have a subscription to Trade Ideas, because you have access to us in these webinars where we will, talk strategies and things like that. And you can see the webinars over there on the left side. Now we do 2 webinars a week. Right now we're on the Tuesday, Thursday. Next week we'll be back on the Monday and Wednesday. So we kind of rotate them like that. But we do have the support webinar every day. This is at 12 Eastern time. And once again, there's going to be a very experienced trader in there. We would like to help anybody who's having issues with the software to ask questions. That's what we designed this for. But we also know that if nobody has any questions, we're definitely willing to talk trading. And we do that very much, actually. And I know a lot of people get a lot of good advice, picking our brain, asking us questions about stocks and chart patterns and things like that. But once again, that's Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern. Get in there. Just go to trade-ideas.com/live. All right, and if you haven't checked it out, our stock racing guys, this is a total new way to look at top list. It's a different approach to just basically, looking at market conditions and having them jump out at you in the form of a race versus just trying to look through a top list with 100 stocks on it and try to find out what's moving. This is available to everybody, even the standard subscription guys. So you really want to get in there and check out these stock races. They can really open up your eyes to a different view of looking at data. And I will leave this for Scott on the way out. Let me exit this screen. And let me get a drink of water real quick. And we'll dive into the market recap. We'll start out with the SPYs. And, this doesn't surprise me one bit today because of the conditions we've seen since the beginning of the year. This would be the beginning of the year. Let me get my little cursor going over here. Epic pen. So since the beginning of the year, right about here, guys, we've had this is the beginning of the year right here. I mean, it has been in a downtrend with a lot of whipsaw action going below moving averages, back above moving averages, big drawdown here, back above most of the moving averages. So it's kind of tough no matter what direction you're going on right now to get a feel for this market. And like I said, it makes it tough for bears and bulls. Now, I think looking at today, guys, this is about as ugly as it gets. You had, this is what I'm talking about when I say bull trap, bear trap. I mean, if you look right here, I mean, a lot of bears were happy on this day right here. Okay, you were breaking through this support line below all your major moving averages there. And lo and behold, we popped back in, putting a little spinning top here. And I'm sure we trapped a lot of bears short. And then we had two, days in a row, even though it's this spinning top day. And then the gap up today above all the moving averages. And I can promise you a lot of people were thinking, here we go, because you're conditioned. A lot of the bulls are conditioned that, oh boy, once we get a bounce, it's all over with. We're going back to highs. Well, it hasn't been the case. And one could argue, even though that we are making lower highs right here, even though if you looked at this one, this would make you think we broke out of that and did make a higher high. So it's very tricky right now. All that being said, I'm going to say this is an ugly candle right here. So even to me, this is even a lot uglier than what you saw back over here and back, what we saw over here, because what happened here is you were above all the moving averages, and in one big swoop at the end of the day, now you're back below all the moving averages. So one would think we, could have some continuation here, just an ugly, ugly day. You basically took out, the whole move in 3 days. You took it out in just one swoop there. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to get overly excited and get all bearish. I mean, I'm in some TZAs. I have been in a while, and I knew better than to just get stopped out on the open because of the kind of the bull trap scenario that I just discussed with you. We've been seeing it a lot since the first of the year. Now, granted, we've been seeing it, on the bear side too. But, for me, I think the risk is being too long right now. Okay, we got this crazy rotation, and if I'm going to be a certain direction in the market right now, I just feel like I want to be short, and I'm doing it by the TZA. And I'm up, but I'm not, not as much as you think I'd be after today. But that's okay. I just feel we're going to go lower. Let's take a look at the Qs real quick, and they're even more ominous there. We actually did take out, basically a 1 month low right here, going back through that level and breaking it and closing below that level. So really, there's really no support. Little bit right there, but probably eyeing this possibly. Now, I'm just telling you kind of what's going through my mind. I'm really can be quick to change my mind, but for now, I'm just can't. It's hard for me to get bullish. IWM kind of the same thing as the spies, uh, gapped up above all its moving averages and closed below all the moving averages. It is sitting on support, so I really need that to break for my TZAs to really work for me. See if that can't happen over the next couple of days, but. That being said, Jamie, I don't I don't want to get people real bearish here because we are kind of just stuck in a range, and we can continue to be kind of stuck in this range from this level down here with at 420
Hmm.
level. We know it's been tough, and then I guess you'd have to call it kind of up here. We're kind of right in the middle of that range, but we are back below our moving averages. So we'll see if there's going to be any follow through. But it's hard for me to be bullish on this market when we just, this was a nice little move, but other than that, it's been kind of sloppy and chopping down and back again now.
Yeah, and Andy, hey, flick it onto the monthly candle real quick for
Okay.
SPY.
Okay. Let me do that. Let me clear this off real quick.
And,
Yep.
look at the one prior month, the one before that. I mean,
Hmm.
right up to that moving average right there. And I mean,
Hmm.
that's that kind of helps temper expectations. Yeah, we might go visit those wicks again, but
Hmm.
unless we get a close below those candle bodies or those wicks, then it's just going to be a grind, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And good point. I'm glad you brought this up because we have bounced, keep with these bottoming tails. It shows you that up until this point, the buyers have been stepping in and buying. They could get worn out, of doing that. And at some point, you got to, if it definitely comes through and breaks through this 20 period moving average on the spies, which is going to be around that 420 level. That's going to be the key if we do get down there, is see if we can hold it again.
Hmm.
Typically, when you keep pounding on the door like that, guys, it's kind of like a ramming rod, and eventually it will give in. But like I said, I don't want to sit here and get everybody bearish, but I'm not surprised that going back to the daily here. Hold on just a minute. Going back to the daily here, because you got to remember, guys, if I went back on that monthly chart for years, buying the dip has paid dividends and big dividends. Buy the dip, buy the dip. Well, look how fast these dips usually get bought and they go. Now look what we're looking at. I mean, these dips are getting bought and then sold again, bought and sold again, bought and sold again. At some point, you know, people are going to be reconditioned that, hey, this buying the dip is not as easy as it used to be. Just remember these candles are just basically trading psychology on a sheet for you. And at some point, yeah, these the dips may buyers may get tired. I know when I see a day like today, if I'm a bit dip buyer, um, and I'm going to talk more about it when I do trade the long side, and I trade the long side a lot, actually a lot more than I do the bearish side. But what I'm looking for now when I am getting long, because it's they just don't, the runs are just not lasting like they used to. So Jamie, do you want to even look at uh, Holly? Is something you want to talk about?
Well, typically, there's three things that typically there's always at least one example of the three things.
Yeah.
Maybe a good winning trade, whether it's long or short, where you can add to that position, or maybe a trade around on a stop out that hovered around the stop area and then bounced from there.
Hmm.
Um, but today, not really the case. It was just
Okay. Well, yeah.
all the all the stop areas did not hold. They were far below. So today's an anomaly. Usually
Yeah.
there's at least one thing to point out, on a trade around, even if Holly had a losing day. But today, you know, that's an anomaly. Um,
Well, yeah.
and kind of in the spirit of, well, the market is doing things we haven't seen it do in a long time, AI is doing things we haven't seen it do in a long time as well. Strung a couple of good days together yesterday and Monday, or excuse me, Tuesday, but then just kind of a, lackluster performance today.
Well, that's fine. We can talk about the I instead. Now, the I has been doing very well. There's been some great calls in here every day, and then for some of you who may be new, you may be asking what the I is. Okay, the I is basically a curated watch list, and this would be the I watcher that we, the traders here, every night and every morning will put ideas of basically good setup stocks that look like they have the potential to move higher. And what happens is I'm in control of what gets moved from the eye watcher to the eye. So basically, I'm in charge of kind of curating the curated. So we take this and we basically run it through filters, and then this is the kind of the final what you get to view inside of our Trader's Eye channel. And if you haven't seen that, guys, let me show it to you. It is dock channel bar, and just look for the Trader's Eye and go here. And if you don't want to have the whole dock window up, that's fine. All you got to do is right click on this window and save this to your cloud, and you can bring this window over and make it part of your default layout, so you're not having to look at the races and all that stuff. So anyway, that's that. And but it's been performing very well today, not so much. And all you have to do is look at the market, and that's why only four trades came out today, and two of them I wished never had come out. But you know what? That's going to happen. Okay, when you get a move like this in the market, there's definitely going to be some stocks that and we only do long calls in here, so we're not doing short calls. Like to have done a few short calls today, but that's most people, this is for swing trading, so we're just setting people up with some decent looking longs. My first one to make it this morning was lithium, and that was just ugly. Okay, just a very ugly day right there. And what happened this morning is Tesla's earnings. Okay, this is definitely in part of that sector, the EV sector. Okay, they make lithium lithium batteries, and Tesla had what seemed like good earnings. They did, but they didn't perform very well. But they opened up. They were up here at high, and then I noticed LAC had a nice push in the first 15-minute candle, and I've been really good about avoiding the first 15-minute time frame. It looked like these things were going to get away from me, and I stuck that one in there, and that's one that I would have been stopped out really quick. And I'm going to talk about these strategies that when I'm trading these setups like this, how I apply them. And I got one really good example. I could find more, but I'm just going to give you one today. X, you may be asking, well, why did you put X in there? Well, X was setting up well, first 45 minutes? No, yeah, 45 minutes of the day. It was up on the day, even though the market was kind of turning negative. And Nucor and was having a huge move. STLD, these are both in the steel sector along with X, was having a great morning as well. So I don't, I'm not going to kick myself for putting that in there because it had the potential. But let's face it, the market just kind of took down everything today. Okay, if you look at my sector board and what was up, you basically had oil up a little, natural gas up a little, and that's about it. Everything basically got took to the woodshed. Even silver. You think gold and silver may be a safe haven, but they were actually getting beaten up early. Now, IBM, I thought was a very decent call. This is one I had on the radar from yesterday because it had earnings yesterday and put in a nice big spinning top, and I had an alert set right at that high. It went off, and I called this around 139, right at yesterday's high. It was around 139.50. And it had some alpha to it, got all the way up to almost to 142, but then I guess the market conditions started to kind of get on it as well. And then AT&T, I called this one right before it went to highs, right about pretty much where it's at now. But This is one that had earnings, and they had good earnings. They pay a dividend. This is kind of the dividend. When you get into a difficult market like this, a lot of people start looking for dividends. Now, I think you can't trust this chart. I think this was probably the closing out of some sort of merger and acquisition. I can't remember, Jamie, but I know they didn't have earnings, and I don't know why it would have dropped in. So I bet you that was some sort of acquisition they did or something. But so anyway, it was looking great today. Moved, decent out of the open, and then I saw it pop right here, and that's when I fired it into the eye. So this one is one you got to keep an eye on for some continued movement. Like I said, good earnings. They pay a dividend. That's the kind of stuff people are looking for these days.
Yeah,
Who
I think
was
that
it?
was some type of spinoff that AT&T did,
Yeah,
right?
I think you're right, Jamie. I couldn't remember the details. So you can't really trust the charts for some reason. Hires did not adjust the spinoff, so it makes it a little bit difficult. Robert, Extreme Master Blaster, you were looking for a good momentum, high day momentum scanner. This Extreme Master Blaster is a very good one. You're not going to miss anything in here. So I will share this with you right now. And let me just go grab it out of the cloud here. I know you asked about that. There you go, Stream Master Blaster. All right, and I'm going to drop it into the chat panel there. So you'll be able to get the code, Extreme Master Blaster, and then make that part of your repertoire. All right. So I want to get into, because the eye is, like I said, it's been performing very well. And I know I've talked a lot about this the last couple of webinars, and I'm going to continue to harp on it because there's a lot of good traders here at Trade Ideas. We have a good eye for setups. A lot of these stocks that you see coming in the eye are going to have a really sweet setup to them. I think that, and I'm not guessing, I'm sure the best part of a trade is the entry. So these are going to be set up with possibly, just really good entries. Now remember, you're swing trading, not day trading, so you may not get the first move out of it. It's best to be a little late than wrong, like I was today in lithium. But I didn't trade it, but I just I did put it in the eye. But but you have to learn to trade in the market conditions. You always trade the market first, okay? So in other words, you don't just get into a trade and say, okay, I'm entering here, my stop is, you can, but you can save yourself a lot of money if you learn to not only adhere to your rules, but be able to change your rules, with the market conditions. Okay, I just showed you the SPYs. They're very sloppy right now. Okay, there's no continued direction either way right now, to the downside or the upside. So what you got to do to combat that is just lower your time frame. So in other words, if you're used to jumping in a swing trade and holding it for maybe 5 to 10 days, you may have to come back now and only hold it for 1 to 2 days. Depending on the market conditions that you're given. Probably my best trade of the year was UEC. Okay, and this was in the eye as well. This was dropped in the eye this morning. That morning, probably I think around $5. Okay, I bought it right around $5, and this is one where I had a nice run into it. Now I did not get the total move there. I think I may have gotten out of my last bit around 620 or something like that, but that's okay. What I like to do in market conditions like this, when I know no sector seems to last very long, natural gas stocks have done that's a little bit different. The UNG has been on a tear lately. If I pull up the UNG, when you get action like this, a lot of those stocks will continue to work for you. But this is few and far between. Okay, in most cases, you're only going to get a few days in this market, and that UEC was a good example. So what I typically will do in a trade like this, I think I scalped some of it out on this day right here, pretty close to the high. Now, what I find myself doing is, I'll take some off and then it pulls back. As long as it's intact, I'll buy more. So I kind of like sway with the market. I keep a core position and I'll sway with the market. But once I get my move and I get like in these kind of conditions, if I get like a 20-25% move, it depends on the stock. Sometimes it may be an 8 to 10% move. I'm bailing quick and I'm not looking back because I know these conditions can change, so fast. Find myself kicking myself. If one of my biggest drawbacks probably is selling stuff too quick, and I was telling the guys this one time in our traders, and Michael says, it's like every time I hear somebody say they sell stuff too quick, they're usually very, very good traders. Well, it's true, because that means you're probably, at least you're right. You're getting in great entries. I have, I can, my entries are great, but so maybe I'm selling too quick, but I know I'm booking a nice profit because my entry was so good. So what you're going to find in this, and we'll look at some of my homework that we'll do for tonight and tomorrow, looking for stocks. I'm not expecting a lot of pretty setups in there after the carnage we saw today, but we'll take a look at it. Let me bring back up. I want to talk more about. Make sure good entries. Yeah, do not chase. Don't find yourself chasing in this market. Okay, trust me. If you think you missed something, just relax, sit back. It's going to come back to you, because the volatility, creates fear, and fear creates some crazy market action where you can usually get your price. So don't feel like you ever have to chase. I just talked about quick hits. In this market, don't look to if you're swing trading, shorten that time frame. Look for relative strength. You guys all know that I'm not afraid to do some bottom fishing or trend change. If I pull up my, where is it? I got to pull it up over here. My homework. There's a couple of windows in here that I like to use for stocks that are possibly, making a trend change. Look at this. This is relative strength today. This stock was up today 2.63% in the market. We all know what happened to the market. That's relative strength, and is possibly, making a trend change. Well, this is, if we're in a raging bull market, I am got my eyes all over this tomorrow. But with the conditions that we're in right now, I know a lot of these will fail. They're still in a downtrend. Even though they're breaking a few moving averages, they're still in a downtrend. You got to beware. If you're wrong, they're going to hurt. They're going to hurt bad. So revenue growth fishing, this other window is one of my favorite. Okay, look at that. That's why you got to watch out for stuff like this. But it just does not work as well in this type of environment as you're going to see. There's Pulte. There's an example of one today that you think, oh boy, revenue it's turning the corner. Boom, got slapped down. So what I do look for are nice setups. Okay, and CPT. Look at that. It's above all its moving averages. It was up today. TRP, same thing. Look at that. I don't know what happened to our earnings. That's the bad tick. That's the kind of stuff I'm looking for. Docs was a one we called yesterday, and I thought it was going to go today, but the market caught it. But still above all its moving averages. Johnson & Johnson, let's see. And this one right here is another one that I look for, stocks that are all above their moving averages. Aflac was a call from yesterday. It worked great yesterday, but look what happened today. Okay, this is what I'm saying. I'll actually take some of my profits on the first day. If I get a decent move, I will just bang out 50% and let the other 50 get stopped out if it takes out, these 20 period moving average. Okay, because you really, when the conditions get like this, capital preservation is more important than trying to, make a lot of money. All right. This one is a good one. Typically, a strong stock's pulling back to 10 SMA. And what I'll do a lot of times is run a history on it. Now this is going to have so many stocks in it today, but XOP, typically strong oil stock, been very strong, but everything got crushed today. And you can see what's happening. Now, what I'll do is go through this tonight and see if any of them held their 10-period moving average and bounced. Let's see if we can find some. Now, see that one bounced up, closed right at it, but still a very ugly bar. Let me see. Let me go down further and see if any of them. Boy, just everything got killed today, Jamie. BTU, yeah, that crashed right through it, went down to its 20. You can see I had alert go off there too.
Yeah, there were basically only a couple of chart patterns that you saw today, either straight down like the SPY, but
yeah,
you know, it all, you know, happened in unison, of course, but a lot of very similar charts out there.
yeah. And you know, right now I'm you know, I told you the TZA, I came in today long gold. It scared me at the open, but had a nice bounce back and still finished above its 30-period moving average. And I am in a little bit of silver, Steve, talking into this one. But it did close at its 50. I bought on this pullback on this day yesterday and thought it would hold, but that's okay. I'm not down that much in this one. You think there might be some safe? I mean, right now there's really no safe haven. You think maybe gold and silver, if we do continue to get clobbered, maybe a safe haven, but maybe we need more market carnage for them to really.
And that's you just hit the nail on the head there, Andy. I mean, there's no safe haven. I mean, maybe you wouldn't get killed as bad being in certain names today.
Right.
But remember, since we've got a little bit of tenure in the business, remember when the oil and gas stocks, if the market started cratering, we'd see a jump in those, you know.
Yeah. Oh
But
yeah.
that cycle passed, and that's not happening today. That didn't happen today, obviously.
Right.
Same with the metals, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would think there would be some inverse action like that, but nope. Today was
I
just
know. Just everything.
pretty telling, I guess.
Yeah. Now you got to be careful with oil and gas, and here's the reason why. Because, you know, they're stuck. The Fed's stuck between such a rock and a hard place, and they have been for a while. They've been kicking the can way too long, and that rock is hyperinflation, and that hard place is major market correction, to my opinion, to the tune of probably 30 or 40%. Not from here, but from all-time highs. And I really truly believe that's the two scenarios, because what they're doing right now, you cannot raise a quarter basis points, 25 basis points, and and stop this inflation, man. It's calling for at least 70. I'm really disappointed they didn't do 50 last time, but anyway, what I was getting back to, if they do really accelerate the interest rates, and may start a market correction and possibly recession, then of course oil will probably get hit along with it, but with everything. But that's just my 2 cents.
I think there's a question about your
Sure.
comment about the peel off from the all-time highs. What'd you say, 30 to something percent?
Well, let's take a look at it, guys. To put this in perspective, I know when people think about it, and this is not a prediction. This is something that would not surprise me. Okay, I never make predictions. I may tell you which way I'm slanted, but let's go back to 480. Okay, so we have 480, and let me see if I can do some math here. Times 0.3 equals 4, so it's 480 minus 144 equals 336. So if we came down to 336, I know it seems like a really long ways, but how deep is it? That's a 30% correction. So you're looking at 325. So let's go back to this date right here. This is 10/28/2020. So we can have a 30% correction in the market, guys, and still be at the same place we were a year and a half ago. So that's what you always have to do. You have to put it into perspective. When you call it from the top, like, oh, a 30% correction, that's huge. But when you put it all into perspective and to see, let me put this on a weekly, where we came from, it's nothing. It's peanuts. I mean, we're talking about, like, maybe we come down to the weekly 200-day moving average. That would probably be a 25% correction. So in the grand scheme of things, a 40% correction sounds massive, or 30%, but it's not like I said, it's not as big as you think. So I hope that makes sense, Jamie.
Yes, it does. I was just attempting to do some VWAP anchoring on that SPY.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, very interesting. If you anchor from the high there on, what was it, January 4th? Yeah, the January 4th daily candle.
Okay.
That anchored VWAP, I mean, if you just,
I'm going to trust you in that way, because I'm on a weekly.
Well, I mean, we're right there at it, at that little, right here in
Okay.
this range. I mean, it's just,
Okay.
it's uncanny.
Let's do an anchored VWAP from the lows of the pandemic lows. Let's see right here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that would be, that's from the pandemic lows
Now,
back here. So
does that go along with your, what was your
well,
number
but mine
again?
was 330. But you know what? I did a weekly, and this candle was a lot higher. Let me go back to the daily and do it. Yeah, let me do this and show it a bit better.
The pandemic low.
Hope I can hit it. They're awful skinny. No, well, I'm gonna give it a shot. Yeah, so there's 380. So that's a big. Now my calculation was 336 if you get a 30% correction. So, and I may have, like I said, I may have not hit it correctly. I think I got close enough though. All right. Anyway, it's a cool little tool, guys. If you haven't used it, the anchored VWAP, and what you do is you take it to any day, and what it's going to do a VWAP from the close of that day to where we are now. And Brian Shannon uses that a lot.
But you know what I could envision, Andy, is a wick right there, and that would put it. Yeah, you'd be pretty close. Of course, it's not an exact science, obviously, but
yeah,
just some interesting spots.
Yeah, like I said. Well, let me see. I can do it. I can do this real quick and see how close I got it to that VWAP. I could have stretched my my SPY chart out. Oh man, it's going back a long ways. Yeah, I think it was pretty close. Yeah, I think I was pretty much there. I may have got that day right there. So if I went further back. All right, that's enough of that. But anyway, that's let me make sure let's see what else I got here. And if you guys have any questions, these are the kind of days I think it's good to ask questions, market questions, maybe software questions, what you can do. This is where you can start, if we do get in some serious carnage, maybe you start looking at stocks that you maybe been wanting to pick up for maybe an investment, and you start putting some price alerts in at some ridiculous amounts a lot of times and get it. And I know this is just one day today, but it's always good to be prepared. And let me see, Jamie, oh yeah, get out quickly when you're wrong. See, I do this all the time, guys, in a market like this. I did not play X or lithium today. Okay, I just was not in I don't like chasing this. I don't do too much buying after a 2 or 3 day move like we saw today, especially when we gap up and we're near highs. But if I did, like an X, and I do this all the time. Okay, so if I were to buy this X on the strength that I saw in Nucor and Steel Dynamics, I would be thinking, okay, I'm predicting that, or I don't want to predict. Anyway, my thinking is, hey, strong sector, those they're ripping. X could be a sympathy play. Okay, it's up on the day, and I'm going to give it a shot here. Now, what I will do is real quick get out. If it turns and rolls over with the market and takes out yesterday's low, I'm out. I'm not gonna second guess it. Okay, that's me playing the market condition. Now, had the market stabilized, not sold off like it did, and X came down here and was just kind of flirting and slopping around, and I'm seeing the other one still hold up, that's a different scenario. Okay, that's what's called playing the market versus, playing your stock. Okay, so no trade acts in a void. In other words, you don't just look at a trade and say, I'm jumping in here, I'm getting out here, and I'm selling here, period. Trust me, if once you start letting your gut feel after hundreds of hours of market after just screen time watching markets, you'll learn how to use that gut and just say, this is not what I was thinking it was going to do. I'm out. I'm cutting it. I can always get back in. So that'll save you a lot of pain, especially in these kind of conditions. Now, if we're in a nice bull trend like we've been over the last 10 or 11 years, you can give yourself a little leeway, but we're not in that market right now. So you have to adapt to market conditions. And trust me, these are the kind of things that myself, Jamie, all the traders that I know that have lasted throughout these markets were able to do. We're able to make adjustments, based on market conditions. It's something that you just have to, you have to learn, because if you stay stuck in that same old pattern that worked for you and strategy that worked for you for so long, and now it's not, I promise you it's going to eventually blow you up. All right, Jamie, I think I had one other thing I wanted to bring to the forefront here. Okay, extreme carnage, yeah. And I'm going to share this. Or did I share that already? No, I shared Extreme Master Blaster. That's right. And let me know, Jamie, if I have any questions.
I think we're all good for now.
Okay. You might want to have this. Okay, so let's take a look. Just look at the action from the day in here. And I know probably most of you weren't thinking short coming in, but if we do get some continuations I got Extreme Master Blaster up. If we do get into conditions where you see some continued down drafts like we're seeing, you can definitely make some great money to the short side. All right, real quickly, let's jump in here and let's take a time frame. Just look at some of the opportunity that you saw, and trust me, this one today was moving a lot more than Extreme Master Blaster.
So Andy, you did have a question on that X chart real quick.
Sure.
Claude.
Let's see. If X would have moved higher, do you simply enter after the high of the first 15, 30-minute candle, or wait for consolidation period? Great question, Claude. What I would typically do is give you an example of a IBM, just because this worked the way you would want it to work if you're thinking about getting long. And I'm going back to yesterday and IBM. Let me just take off these after hours real quick. Okay, so this was after hour. Let me zoom in so you guys can see. There we go. So this is IBM yesterday. Okay, they had earnings. They gapped up above their 200-day, all their moving averages. Okay, head fake. I never try to on these earnings play. I mean, it has to be just a beautiful, sweet chart for me to jump in early. This is nowhere near its lifetime highs, nowhere near its yearly high. It's only right now, still 35% off its yearly high, but it had this little level over here on the daily. Okay, looked right here. That's where I'm thinking this thing could go, and it maybe gets there tomorrow. I'm surprised it didn't get there today. But so I knew it was opening up near a level of resistance. So I want to watch this thing. Okay, you had a little head fake to the upside, back down. This is the first 30 minutes. These are 15-minute candles. Then you had a little try to sell off, boom, bottoming wick. That's strength right there. Now you got 30 minutes of action, and even though it didn't take out that high, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll buy a percentage of my trade right there once it takes out that last candle. And then what I'll do is once it takes out this high, I'll add the other portion of my trade. So that, that is kind of what I would like to see what X would have done. I would probably have watched it. And now granted, the market, yeah. So similar to that, it opened up strong with Nucor and Steel Dynamics, came back, didn't take out a low. Now, if this candle would have gone and taken out, this range, and I'm one who likes to get a little head start sometimes, so I won't wait for it to, confirm and take out that high, because a lot of times what happens when they do that, they shoot really high. But that's what I'd like to see on this case. Whether it consolidates or not, or maybe just does it for 45 minutes. I do want to see it kind of get close to that high before I buy it. Even though it would not have been close to the previous day's high, I would rather see that. But like I said, if the market conditions are right, and I know the sector is very strong, in other words, two big players had earnings and are really just shooting, through the roof, I will be a little aggressive as far as the entry goes. All right, so extreme carnage. Let's see. Let's go back to this morning. You're going to find there was some really beautiful trade. Look at this one right here. Just stocks that the follow through was to the downside in a lot of these trades. You can just see them on the chart right here. A lot of selling. The tan sector got hit pretty hard. It's coming through there. Voyager, boy, that was brutal. Take off, and then that one had a huge move. Did bounce back though. So anyway, I'm going to share this with you guys, and if it's okay, if you don't want it and you don't like to trade, to the short side, that's fine. But I will. If you're a day trader, this can be a very a good multi-strategy window for you to put it back on real time to find some opportunity to the downside. Any more questions, Jamie?
No, I was just scrolling through.
Okay.
I thought I saw another one pop in.
Extreme. Okay. Extreme Carnage and Extreme Master Blaster. You got these two handy. You're going to find the momentum in either direction. So that's a good one also to have if you don't mind shorting. Well,
okay,
let's see.
Yeah, there is one more question about the Head and Shoulders, cup and handle. I don't know if I think you probably might have something in your cloud.
Yeah, you know what? That's the problem with those type of, you're looking for too many data points. I know we're working with our new Market Explorer, and we're trying to, develop. The problem with those is just you have a cup and handle. You have data points where, and this is where it's hard. So I'm just on a regular. I'm not looking at this particular stock, but you have a cup, and then you have a handle, and then you have something going through highs. What's very hard to do is predict that, from this point, that point, that may not be difficult to do, but then you have this other swoop right here where it comes down and then goes through. That's what makes it very difficult. It's just, you're asking for a lot of candles, comparing a lot of candles on a daily chart or a swing trading chart. Now, I do have a really good bull flag one that I created. I'll share with you, and you can get some ideas about how I did it. But when they have multiple points like that, it's very difficult. But let me share you my bull flag. I got one for daily and intraday, and I will share them both for you. There's my bull flag daily setup. Probably not going to be a whole lot in there today. And I'll drop them. And this will give you kind of an idea how you can use your range filters, your position in range, and then your range filters to create them. So this is going to be bull flag daily. And let me get you one for intraday too. There's one for intraday. Bull flag intraday. So I found one in here. Was it BHI or something? Hold on. BIA, I can't remember. It's from one of the ones from yesterday. Jamie had a beautiful bull flag in it. I'm just seeing. I'm curious now if there's going to be anything set up in there today. I'm sure. Yeah, there's a couple. It's buyout. Yeah, there's kind of one right there. You know, you had a move higher and then it's been going sideways. Now it's not looking at today's data. This is looking at the past data. So you had a nice little, flagging pattern, going like that after a move up. That's what you want to look for. So this would have been in there this morning, but like a lot of things, just did not work in this market, although it held up pretty good. All right, you're welcome, Ken. Yeah, you'll find those handy. There's some, they work very well. I got a note now. I got to find it. Let me go back to yesterday time frame. Use historical date. 20. Please be in there. Of course it's not. Let's go back. Hold on. Hey, let me do it at 7:45 a.m. Oh well. We're running out of time here. Let me see. Let's see. Okay, let me do this. 19. It's not liking the time frames I'm putting in there. Oh well, it works well. Yeah, it works really. You're welcome, Claude. It'll find those patterns for you, and that intraday works as well as too. All right, Jamie, any more questions out there?
I think we're all good to go.
All right, guys, just remember it's a different market environment. Okay, learn to adjust to the time frames. When you're seeing those nice setups, it looks like they should run forever, and they're just not. It's because of the market conditions, and just adjust your time frames and your risk parameters. All right, Scott, come back in.
Yeah, just a couple housekeeping items on the way out. If you're an interactive brokerage client, you can connect interactive brokerage with our Brokerage Plus module and trade directly from Trade Ideas. If you have any questions about that, email our support line. I'd be happy to help you out. You can also go to trade-ideas.com/IBKR and learn about becoming an interactive brokerage customer. E-Trade also connects directly to our Brokerage Plus account with a similar integration, and they allow for $0 commission trading. So if you're an E-Trade customer, you can learn more about that at trade-ideas.com/eTrade. Grab the Strategy Indicators ebook. It's got the favorite ways to use strategy indicators by Dave Mabe, our Director of Software Development, who also helped to create Holly and our backtesting module. A lot of our tools that Andy and Jamie use every day. Go to trade-ideas.com/strategy, and it's a free download. If you're not ready for a full Trade Ideas subscription, you can test out our Strength Alerts newsletter. It's $17 for each month, and you get 5 trades every Sunday night. Go to trade-ideas.com/strength and read some more about it, and sign up for your Strength Alerts newsletter. You can use the code Spring is Here to save 15% off of any subscription or upgrade with Trade Ideas. So grab that code and apply it if you're not yet a subscriber, or if you're on standard and decide you want to do an upgrade. Email us info@trade-ideas.com if you have any questions. You can also find Jamie Hodge on Twitter at QuantBot. You can find us at Trade Ideas at Steve G, or Chris Farley is C Farley 1734. Check him out. You can find us on Facebook. We're Trade Ideas Pro. You can also find us on YouTube. It's youtube.com/Trade Ideas. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Jamie. Thanks all. Have a good one.
Thanks, everybody. I'll see a lot of you tomorrow.